welcome to a special edition of the State of the Fleet Industry series produced by Automotive Fleet Magazine. And this video series is designed to put a spotlight on key leaders in today's fleet management industry. And today I have the real honor to interview Brice Adamson, Executive Vice President of Enterprise Fleet Management. And what we're going to be discussing is the current issues that are involving the long order to delivery times that we're all experiencing and vehicle availability in general. So with that as an introduction, I'd like to thank you, Brice, for joining us.
Mike, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I couldn't think of a better person to discuss this topic than you, Brice. I mean, of all the companies in the industry, I think Enterprise, when you include your fleet management business, your truck business, your rent-a-car business, you're probably among the top, if not the top vehicle orderer out there. So with that wealth of vehicle ordering experience that you have, what are the tips that you would offer to fleet managers in this current environment? I mean, everybody's looking for assistance and advice.
Yeah, so we've never seen times like this before, Mike, and hopefully we won't see times like this again. But certainly the most important piece of advice that I think that I could give a fleet manager right now is just order your vehicles early. Make decisions quickly and order vehicles early, because it's our experience that manufacturers are building vehicles kind of on a first in, first out basis, and you need to put yourself in the very best position in order to get the vehicles that you need. Fleets are aging right now. Vehicles have not been manufactured at the pace that they have been in the past, and everyone's driving a little bit older fleets right now, and it's driving up a lot of just pent up demand. So. And one thing that in particular that I think is really important to kind of note is the used car market right now is at historic highs. It is
unbelievable highs. Yeah.
Yes. We've never seen anything like this. And if you order your vehicles early, it puts you in the best position to replace the vehicle when the used car market is still high. Because one thing is for certain, the used car market will not remain this high forever.
Mm-hmm. It's very much a cyclical market, but picking up on something they mentioned earlier, and then let's go in and discuss the used vehicle market in more detail. But you say order early, and it's a real truism in our industry. Good times, bad times. That's always the tried and true method, is ordering your vehicles early, because you do get into the system earlier. Your vehicles get preferenced earlier, and you have a production date at that time. So. That way you can at least plan for these longer order to delivery times. So, but let's get back to this used vehicle market. I mean, this was just totally unexpected. I mean, who predicted all this? And it's been kind of almost ongoing since 2020. What's your thoughts on this, and how long do you think it's going to be going? Like you said, it can't go forever.
Yeah, I think as long as demand for new vehicles is far greater than the supply for new vehicles, that will have a trickle-down effect on the overall used car market. So, with that being said, it's really hard to predict how long that will be, but certainly the aging vehicles that fleets are driving right now and the need to replace them, and the fact that manufacturers have not been able to build the numbers of vehicles that will satisfy that demand, drives up the overall price on every other vehicle. So, what we can see right in front of us right now, those are the decisions that we need to make, which is the used car market is at all-time highs historically, and unlikely to go higher. Because we're seeing some vehicles sold, that are a couple of years old for more than what they were originally sold.
I've seen that also. I've never experienced that before, but
nor have I. That's crazy. I mean, higher than MSRP, but it is what it is. But fleet managers, put yourself in the best position, order the vehicle early so it comes off the line early, so you can replace that vehicle, and take advantage of this used car market.
In some ways, it's always hard to predict the future of the market, and that's when you always get into trouble. But to me, just anecdotally, if today's new cars are tomorrow's used cars, and if we're producing fewer new cars today, it just stands to reason, in my mind at least, that you're going to have fewer used cars in the market in the future. So, it might ebb and flow. But I think we're going to be looking at a strong used vehicle market for a little while to come.
Yeah, yes, certainly. I mean, certainly, from everything that we can see with the semiconductors being behind and the trickle-down effect that's going to have on manufacturing, it's going to take 8 or 9 months for manufacturing to get back to normal, and then there's all this pent up demand. So I would expect for at least a year, but it's really hard to say.
Yeah. And you talk about the semiconductor shortage, I mean, a lot of times people talk about when we're going to reach equilibrium in that market, when we're going to have sufficient supply for demand, but the demand for semiconductors and microchips continues to grow. And it's not just from the automotive side, consumer electronics and so on. So this is a real moving target. So, I mean, it's really conceivable that, there could be future reoccurrences of these shortages as we get into high seasons for selling consumer and electronic products.
Yeah, we talk about it internally, Mike, that the pandemic has had such a huge impact on the world in so many ways, and in many ways, the illness is hopefully over, or it's not over, but it's nearing its end. But the lingering effects of the pandemic are far-reaching and long-lasting. I'm afraid. So, as it's impacted supply chain, it's impacted. Everybody wants to go on vacation. There's so much demand for everything right now, and it's hard to get labor across all industries. I think there's going to be lingering effects of this pandemic for quite a while.
That's very true. Well, let's get back to our topic at hand and dealing with this whole vehicle availability issue and how fleet managers can adjust to this new environment. And you and I had an earlier conversation about actually managing mileage of vehicles, because not all vehicles accrue mileage at the same rates. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on that and revisit that topic.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're advising our clients to do, and I think fleet planners can really take advantage of right now, is just take a look at the annual mileage that each one of your drivers puts on a vehicle, and swap out one vehicle that's driving more miles, or one driver that's driving a vehicle more miles than another one. Have those drivers swap vehicles. It's not necessarily the most popular option to do right now, but fleet preservation is of utmost importance right now. And the longer you can, while it is taking a long time to get vehicles built and delivered and through the whole supply chain with upfitters and everything, you're making sure that the vehicle that you have right now lasts as long as it can, I think is really important. Mm-hmm. To that end, I think that, we're talking a lot about preventative maintenance and getting maintenance done right now. So I guess the preventative maintenance is taken care of to give vehicles the best chance of not breaking down on the road and having an unscheduled repair that will take a long time to fix and also disrupt whatever your business needs the vehicle for. That's also really important as well right now.
That's true, so true. And a lot of fleets in earlier years actually extended their service lives on vehicles. So they're even having their older vehicles now being kept in service even longer. So you really need to have that laser focus on preventative maintenance compliance on the part of your drivers.
But I think the other thing just to mention there too is driver safety, Mike. It's these vehicles are older, and it's more important than ever that vehicles are maintained to the highest standards right now, just to make sure that we're taking care of our employees and our drivers.
It's very true. And you have wear items. I mean, wear items, dictate a lot of the cyclicality and maintenance expenses, but, you have brake wear, tire wear, and so on, and if you're pushing the envelope on that, I mean, do fleet managers, kind of make that decision? Do I invest in a new set of tires, a brake job if it's going to be coming out of service in a month or so? You got to defer or err on the side of a safety, even if it's a more expensive proposition, in my opinion, at least.
Oh, yes. The answer is yes. Yeah, mm-hmm. Without a doubt. You need to make sure that your vehicles are safe. Without a doubt, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, eventually we're going to get out of this mess that we're in, and it's taken way longer than any of us imagined. But eventually we're going to get back to normal production cycles. And I think it's going to come back with a vengeance. I think there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand, a lot of unfulfilled orders, and there's going to be a burst of production coming out of factories. I mean, are you concerned about potentially log jams appearing, in the transportation system or at upfitters? I mean, we see that even in normal times. I can imagine if you're going to 3 shifts on factories for popular vehicles, is that going to, exasperate and lead to those situations? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that we should plan on that being an issue for sure. Transportation log jams was an issue for the industry before the pandemic even started. And it's highly likely that it's going to be an issue as production does get back to normal, without a doubt, as those logistics companies will suffer with the same things that everybody's suffering with, which is trying to find employment, get people back to work, get their fleet back up and running so they can transport vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think we should expect that, Mike.
Right, and it gets back to what you mentioned earlier: order early. You might be in line, but at least you're going to be in the front of the line waiting for your vehicle. So order early. So we've actually reached our allotted time. It was a great conversation, Brice. It went by very quickly, which is a sign of a good conversation. So I'd like to thank you for joining us, and hopefully we can do this again.
Thanks for having me, Mike.